Superman barely made it to the Sweet 16 by the skin of his teeth. But in this book, it's not just him we're worried about. We're also worried about Lois and Superboy Prime. I still can't believe I'm saying that. Support this comic book series by visiting your LCS. My name is Dora and this is SEO Comics. We're continuing our coverage of DCKO with Superman number 32. Our story starts off with the loss of Lois's powers and Mrs. Terrific explaining to her that they don't know if they're coming back. They never knew where the powers came from in the first place. They don't know if they went back to the original owner or are they just gone completely. But he wants to run more tests. But Lois stops him and is like, no more tests. She's like, I already made peace with my powers being gone. And in my gut, I feel like they're going to be gone forever. And then we cut to the Fortress of Solitude where we see Lois punching the hell out of some boy. And she's like, normally I would hate for my gut to be wrong, but I'm happy as hell it was today. So I got Superboy Prime saying, hell yeah, take that some boy, you dork. So Lois is like, my powers, how long am I going to have them? And then Superboy Prime's like, we're in the middle of an event, Lois, so there's no telling. For those of you guys who don't know, Superboy Prime is similar to like Deadpool. He breaks the fourth wall a lot. Like he understands that he's in a comic book. So Superboy Prime's like, all right, Lois, well, we got to go now. And Lois is like, no, we're not leaving until we figure out a way to get this archive information to my husband so he has a better idea of what this tournament's about. And Superboy Prime just cuts her off. He's like, hold on, time out. What's this about a tournament? So then we cut to the tournament, where we see the remnants of the tournament. How Joker killed Batman, how Superman knocked out a primordial god, how Starro almost took the tournament over. But mainly, we get the villain side of things, and we get it from Lex Luthor. And for the most part, he has a point. They're pissed because the superheroes didn't even tell them about what was going on with Apokolips and Doomsday or Time Trapper and everything. They just decided that they were going to deal with the situation themselves and they were just going to send off the villains to the Phantom Zone and not consult them at all, like it's not their planet too. And then we find out that it's not just any kind of tournament, but it's a death tournament. And you heroes are going along with this. Who do you think is more equipped to handle this kind of tournament? Well, then Luthor goes, but you know what? I'm glad you're here. And Superman's like, why, Luthor? Because I want you to witness my victory. And then Superman's like, Terrific sent you to the Phantom Zone. How the hell did you escape? And then Luthor's like, you know what they say about the best laid plans, right? So then we cut to 1 week ago when all the time people were talking to the Justice League. And one of the time people is Gorilla Grodd. And Gorilla Grodd has low-level telepathy, but he still has telepathy. And he has a connection with a certain Lex Luthor. And he fills them in on what the Justice League is planning to do. So, Luthor made plans of his own. And then we see 5 villains being sent to the Phantom Zone. But for some reason, they took a left turn in Albuquerque. And now Gigantica, Starro, Cheetah, and King Shark are in the old home of the Legion of Doom. So they're worried as hell because it's like eventually the Justice League is going to notice that we're not in the Phantom Zone. And then somebody says, hard like holograms. They're going to buy us some time. So the King Shark's like, to do what? And Luthor, as he's shaving, explains the whole situation to them, including the part where the winner gets to defeat Darkseid and fix the world, make it a better place. But then he says, you know it's going to be me, as we see a clean-shaven Luthor. And Cheetah jumps all over his ass and was like, you might be smarter than me, but you ain't got my fighting prowess. And then they are interrupted by laughter. So you know who this is. That's right, it's the Joker. So he's like, Lex, you and me, back together again, just like old times. So, should we stab each other in the back now, or wait until the end of the tournament? But then Joker's like, well, this is who you chose to go along with us? And then Gigantic goes, I should smash you. And the Joker's like, in heels, I hope. So then Star's like, wait a minute, how are you even going to get to this tournament and where is it at? So the Luthor's like, it's at the center of the Earth. The Justice League are taking the Nexus to the Sky Terrace as a gateway. And then Star was like, Sky Terrace? Are you nuts? How the hell are they going to not see us if we go that way? And then Luthor's like, we just have to be a little bit smarter than them. And the way they get in is with Luthor's super suit. He has a bunch of them, and he gave his friends some. Well, friends a loose term. But I guess the power suits have enough cloaking on them to where they get into the tournament undetected. And that's when all hell broke loose. Joker killed Batman, killed Gigantica, Eber, and all kinds of other things happen. If you don't know, link to the playlist will be in the description. But now we get a glimpse to some of the fights that we're going to get in a round of 16. Like Superman versus Captain Atom. Superman won't get some revenge because Captain Atom did Supergirl dirty. Then we also got Lex versus the Demon. So then we cut back to Force of Solitude, and Superboy Prime's like, all I'm saying is you guys could have told me about a death tournament. Like, who do you think would be best at this death tournament? And then Lois was like, I thought you didn't kill anymore, Superboy Prime. And then Superboy Prime was like, I mean, I don't, but just I'd have been good at it. I'm just saying. So then Lois is like, all right, we need to figure out how to move this archives before Sunboy wakes up. So the Superboy Prime is like, you know what? I got an idea. I'll be right back. And he takes off. But then as soon as that happens, Sunboy does wake up. And now he has two friends with him on top of that. So the Sunboy is like, look, your best chance of survival is to pledge your allegiance to Darkseid, and then you can prove your loyalty by killing the multiversal brat. And Lois is like, how about no? So they attack her. She flies off and she yells, Prime. And he goes, hold on, I'm coming. And then Sunboy is like, we need to destroy this archives because this could be a problem for our final god. Lois like, no, you can't. But then the other two are pretty much standing in her way like, ain't nothing you could do about it. But then Superboy Prime shows back up with Superman. And they start putting it on the League of Darkseid. So Lois is like, how'd you get my husband for the tournament? And Superboy Prime's like, fight now and I'll explain later. Now with the three of them fighting these guys, they pretty much make quick work of Darkseid's Legion. So then Superman and Superboy Prime are discussing how the hell they're going to move the archives. Lois comes over to talk to her husband. Now Superman did get punched in the face boning these dudes. He turns around and Lois is scared out of her mind because it looks like it's Cyborg Superman. And she goes to punch him and Superboy Prime has to catch her fist and it's like, nope, that's not who you think it is. And then he explains that this is just one of Clark's many robots that he's made over time. And there is a bunch of them. And he's like, we're going to need all hands on deck if we're going to be dealing with Darkseid and his Legion. Lane's like, we need to get this information about Doomsday and Darkseid to the real Superman. And then we need to get him to the Time Trapper. But if you know what happened in DCKO number 2, then you know the Time Trapper right at this moment is being choked out by Booster Gold, who's possessed by Darkseid.